Got a special guest with us today. Let's see. Get a view speaker request. Boom. You in? All right. Unmute it.
Yep,
Nick, you in? You in?
I'm in.
Holy fucking shit. Holy shit, baby. It was almost Mike's solo pod. Almost Mike's solo pod.
I made
We're in
it.
here. Nick, look, we got a bunch of people in here waiting. I feel like I'm doing a circus act, like juggling, trying to keep people's, distracted from our technical difficulties. / you're an idiot, but we're in.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah, I'm sorry,
everyone's
guys.
gone. It looks like 3 people just gone like that, but it doesn't
Wow.
matter because we're fucking live right now, and we're gonna start right now. Welcome to a special episode of Grand Central Fantasy. We are the GCF home of the Grand Central Fantasy Podcast. We are the home of the Grand Central Fantasy Patreon. I am your host, Mikey Rock. My co-host, usually the lead, who you hear his voice first when we start off, Sean, is not with us tonight. Sean is having some money issues. He decided to start a OnlyFans up. He's showing off his chubby feet to some people. I guess there's people who are into that shit. I would vomit if I seen his fucking socks come off. So Sean will not be joining us this week. And you guys are blessed right now to have GCF contributor for several years since the beginning. A person who I'm very close with, my younger brother, my little brother, not just because he's younger, but because his penis size is like has like a micro penis. Um, the one and only Nick fucking Flair. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I need a babysitter at all times when it comes to this phone stuff, but I'm here and I appreciate you letting me come on in Sean's absence. So
Yeah, I'm
let's
not gonna
fucking do this.
lie. I felt like I was dealing with our father with the phone or with computers or just with everyday life. But you know what? You're here. You figured it out. You'll never
Yeah.
have an issue again when you join us on the podcast. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad it's not the Mikey Rock solo podcast because people would not want to hear that. Their ears would fucking bleed probably.
Yeah, I clearly crumble under pressure, but you know what? I made it. I'm good. So let's
Yeah, we're
go. Let's
here.
get it.
Good. I'm glad you're here. Nick, week 3 wrote out a very different than what we saw the first 2 weeks. We're going to discuss what we've known, what we have no idea what the fuck is going on, and what's to come in week 4. Obviously, we're going to recap what respect on, respect off for week 3. And we're going to do things a little differently this week after our respect columns. We're going to focus on a couple matchups, a couple teams, maybe dissect some of those players from a fantasy football standpoint. So we're going to see how this episode goes. Matt, please be the judge. Let us know if you like how this guideline goes. Anybody else who listens later on, critique us, tell us we sound like shit, call me a fat piece of shit. I don't really care. I know I am. And we'll take it from there. We always appreciate your criticism. But before Mikey Rock gets started on his respect column, you know the motherfucking deal. It's time to promote the Patreon. And guys, if you haven't joined yet, we have a couple dozen Patreons, subscribe Patreons who pay for us monthly. And it's really come to a point where these people I feel like might be stealing money from us because you get this subscription of nonstop 24/7 open line of communication with us. We are your fantasy football bitch. We are your fantasy football personal assistant. Guaranteed rapid answers to all your questions that suit to your league settings. We're talking about trade advice and not just, oh, maybe you should trade away Jalen Waddle because he's not doing good. No, we're talking about players that fit to your team's roster, how you constructed it from draft day. How we're going to talk to you about what positions and players that you should be targeting for your team, what's going to be good for your depth. We are going to literally, it's like we're logging into your account and running your squad with you. Sean has done an excellent fucking job. I think Matt right now could vouch for it. Any one of our Patreons could vouch for it. It's unlimited access. Join the GCF fam status or the GCF King status on the Grand Central Fantasy Patreon. I promise you, you won't disappoint. Try it out for a month. If you don't like it, you cancel, and that's that. What's $10? What's $15 to you? But I promise you, we will not disappoint. And I rambled, I think, enough. Nick, I'm going to start my putting respect on very shortly. You want to add anything? You want to say anything before we get started? Anything you want to chime in on real quick? I mean, the floor is yours, dude. You're here with us. We're pumped.
I mean, nah. I mean, that was cool. The Patreon. It's funny. Anytime I try to text you and Sean, like before a 1 o'clock game, I get nothing because you guys are so locked into all that shit. So that's
Well,
all.
like
That's all I
Sean
wanted to
always
say about that.
says, and I'm like, I kind of cringe when he says it. He turns off all the notifications on his phone besides our GCF VIP Twitter account. He always says his wife could be dead in a ditch, and could be answering Matt about should I be starting and the third wide receiver on the Saints, and like shit like that. Like it's
It's so
just,
true.
I'm like Sean, like yeah, you're right. You do turn off everything and you only focus on them, but I think it's okay if like you answer your wife if she's like dying in a ditch. I think
Seriously,
I think the Patreons will forgive you for that. But
of
all
course.
right, fuck it, man. Nick, I'm glad you're here. Without further ado, let's get started on America's favorite fucking segment. Put some respect on these motherfuckers' names. And we're kicking it off with Kyron Williams. Nick, where are all the fake ass fantasy experts, quote experts, and Blake Corum bitch boy fan clubbers at? How's this for workload, Nick? 24 fucking carries in this game for Williams, with Corum only have 8 on the season. He didn't have a fucking carry in this fucking game. Not just 24 rushes for my boy Williams, but 3 total touchdowns on the day, good enough to make him the second highest scoring running back on the week. Fourth high scoring running back in the year. Take respect off the people making false narratives about Williams' workload this offseason and put some fucking respect on my boy Williams' name. Next, we're going Juwan Jennings. And my counterpart, the guy I'm talking to, got to know Jennings very well. In our matchup in fantasy, I subbed out Jalen Waddle in the morning and I put in Juwan Jennings, and Nick fucking shattered his TV into a million pieces. Eventually, he ended up winning last night, and I thought I was going to get the win because of him. And I know you were tight, but it is what it is. Congratulations. And, I knew options were limited for the 49ers, but where did this fucking come from? 11 catches, 12 targets, 175 yards, and a fucking touchdown hat trick, bro. That's 3 for the people who don't get the hockey reference. AU could have stepped up and shined, but Jennings filled in tremendously for CMC, Debo Samuel, George Kittle. Dude had more yards in 3 games than he had in 13 games last season. The highest fantasy outing for a wide receiver this year by over 10 points, and highest scoring overall, topping Kamara's 4 touchdown game. Opportunity fucking struck. He took advantage, and 49er players, they're going to be, some of these guys are going to be out for a while. Jennings is going to do his thing, put some respect on his name. Next, we're going with the red-headed wonder, this ginger motherfucking bitch, Andy Dalton, because position players. And Nick, I'm going to sound like LeBron James for saying this, but I called this would happen. You know how he always says, oh, yeah, I said this would happen. Basically, I told no one, and my source is, trust me, I swear, I really said it. Bryce Young dead, Andy Dalton just rejuvenated the fucking Panthers roster. And let's be honest, there is talent on this squad. Deontay Johnson, 8 catches, 122 yards. Adam Thielen, 3 catches, a touchdown. He left the game with a hamstring injury. He's on the IR now, but you got other receivers that should be on your waiver wire targets with Leggett, Mingo. Some of these guys are going to eat. You got Chuba Hubbard setting the tone, destroying the Raiders, 26 touches, close to 170 yards and a touchdown. Andy Dalton, dude, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. Believe that. Panthers quarterback with no fucking turnovers. Dalton just made all of the talented Panthers players fantasy relevant again. And they are talented. We just haven't seen that because Bryce Young is not talented. Put some fucking respect on Andy Dalton's name. Thank you for that. Next, we got Sam Darnold. This one hurts, but I feel so good for this dude. From the dungeons of the Jets and the Panthers to backing up in San Francisco, he's now a legitimate MVP through 3 games. I can't believe I'm fucking saying it. Through 3 games, he's the number 2 fantasy scoring running back. As JR from WWF would say, one of the best announcers of all time. Nick knows him very well. By God! That's all I kept running through my head. Most touchdowns by a quarterback on the season with a shitload going to Jettas. Jay Jettas, my boy. I disrespected him the preseason because Sam Darnold. Silly me. Put some respect on Sammy's name. Last but not least, this is a surprise one for you, Nick. I didn't tell you about this one, and it was after Monday Night Football. Jaden Daniels, our boy. I had him as
Oh, my
quarterback
boy.
8 in preseason rankings. I said, don't be surprised if he has Lamar-type numbers. Not flashy passing points, with his legs getting a lot of the work done. That was kind of my what I thought of him before the season. Well, you know what? He got it done through the year. 250 plus pass yards, 2 passing touchdowns, a couple of beautiful deep balls. And I'm not talking about ball sacks. I'm talking about fucking footballs. 39 rushing yards and a touchdown. Only 2 incompletions. 91 completion percentage with over 80% completion percentage on the fucking year. What is going on? Nick, I'm pitching a fucking 10. And I'm not talking about camping. Second highest scoring quarterback in the week. He doubled Mahomes' fantasy point number from when Mahomes faced the Bengals. Put some fucking respect on Jaden Daniels' names. Let's go. Let's go. What do you think about that? Talk to me.
Wow. I
Talk to your
love
boy.
that you
Well, my
put
blood
respect
pressure
on
fucking
Jaden
rose.
Daniels' fucking name. I love that because that's my boy. I've been high on him since college. So, yeah, man. He's a fucking beast. He's the reason why I beat you because you had the Jawan Jennings thing. He butt fucked me. But with those 3 touchdowns, but Jaden Daniels really saved my ass in that
Well, I
matchup.
was getting
So,
ready to shit on you because Jawan Jennings, and then
yes.
when I woke up this morning, like I was watching the game, and then I wasn't paying attention to our fantasy matchup. I just figured I won, and then I looked in the morning. I'm like, oh shit, this motherfucker beat me.
Yeah, I figured I was going to lose, but then Jaden Daniels literally fucking saved me, so shout out to him. Juwan Jennings, 3 touchdowns, enough said. The Red Rifle, I like that too, man. As
I
soon as
like
they
that
bench
name.
Bryce Young, he comes out. It just sucks because our boy, fantasy legend Adam Thielen, he's hurt, so we're fucked on that. That's our guy, but
Well,
it's
it
okay.
sucks too because Adam Thielen in the past has been a touchdown beast. He has a nose for the touchdown. I've always gone out and drafted him, and
Oh, fantasy
I
legend
told
Adam
people
Thielen, of
last
course.
year too when he was being drafted later on, go with this guy. This rookie quarterback's going to depend on this veteran wide receiver, and it was working out for the most part early on.
Yeah, he's the man. I wish he was going to be around for the Red Rifle, but it's all good. And then obviously Sam Darnold, that's a great one. You know how much I love Sam. He got fucked in New York, but he also wasn't great. But it's just good to see him with good coaching and a receiver. And now he's like, was he like the top quarterback in fantasy right now, or he's like top 3? That's insane.
Yep.
And then Kyron Williams is a fucking beast, bro. Like some people were shitting on him, but he's a fucking monster. He has 5 touchdowns in 3 games. Like enough said, you know. So I
Yeah,
love that list.
there's not enough emphasis on that because they draft Blake Corum and the Rams. Everyone's like, "Oh, McVay, he always switches up the running backs." I'm
Hmm.
like, this guy, Kyron Williams, had the highest snap count last season out of all running backs. They had shit running back depth behind him. They needed to fucking bring in somebody to give him some, depth.
Hmm.
Matt, sorry, one of our Patreons just said that we're cutting out a little bit. Matt, let us know if we're sounding like shit, if we're getting better or whatnot. Let me know the deal. But yeah, they needed to bring in a running back though to give him some breathing room. Corum wasn't coming in to steal the fucking workload. Corum was coming in for Kyron Williams when he needed a breather, and he's not even doing that right now. They had Ronnie Rivers, who sounds like a fucking porn star, coming in and getting 8 carries while Blake Corum's got his thumb up his ass on the sideline. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. And then remember McVay, he like ran Gurley to the ground. I feel like he's gonna run Kyron all the time. Like he's such a beast fucking pick. I wanted him, but
yeah.
that's good though. I like that list. There's a lot of good guys on that. Respect
All
on
right.
that list.
Respect them. Respect on me because my list is fucking awesome. And Nick, in the immortal words of Lloyd Bank, I don't remember the quote that Sean says every week. Quite honestly, I fucking ignore him at this point. But take some respect off these motherfuckers' names. This is your time to shine, dude. Get real negative. They call him Negative Nick for a reason. So get real
Yeah,
fucking
it's
negative,
funny. I
dude.
was actually thinking about the Lloyd Banks reference too, but I totally forgot it because it's like Sean.
I
But
just gotta
Sean
forget
always says
about
it, but
it.
it's something about like negativity spreads faster. But it's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. Sean knows it by heart. But I'm about to take some respect off motherfuckers' names right now. All right. Number one, I'm taking respect off Mark Andrews' name. When I walk my dog in the morning, he takes shits that are more productive than Mark Andrews. All right, dude. 0 catches, 0 yards last week versus Dallas. That's fucking dog shit. And he didn't do anything versus Kansas City. He has 6 catches on 8 targets through 3 weeks. It's ridiculous. The Ravens could have sent DeMar Hamlin's clone out there and he would have gotten at least 1 catch. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me a fucking break. I'm taking respect off Mark Andrews' name, all right? Another motherfucker I'm taking respect off of is Anthony Richardson. I've always been skeptical of him because I watch college football and he can't really fucking throw, but he had a good week 1. I'll give him credit. But last week versus Chicago, he had 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and under 200 yards. That's absolute dog shit, bro. I'm taking respect off Anthony Richardson's name. Who else we got here? This is more personal, but I'm taking respect off Sam Laporta's name because I understand he hurt his ankle at the end of the first half, but I don't know. He has 8 catches on 94 yards and 0 touchdowns in 3 games. And everybody in one of my leagues, when I drafted him, everyone's like, oh, Laporta, trade me Laporta. And he fucking sucks dick. I should have fucking traded him. So, I don't know. My bad. Yeah, I don't know. Just because you have more catches than Mark Andrews doesn't mean you're good. So I'm taking respect off your fucking name. I think he'll be okay, but fuck him. Respect off Sam Laporta. And, oh yeah, I hate to do this one, but fucking Mike Evans. I gotta take respect off Mike Evans' name. He's really my boy. He's like one of my favorite players. But after week 1, he really hasn't been doing shit for me. And fucking yeah, I'll be quick with Mike Evans because that's my boy. I don't want to shit on him. I really love him, but I gotta take respect off Mike Evans' name, man. Like he's been disappointing me. Like they laid a fucking egg against Denver. I think he had 2 catches for like 17 yards, if I remember correctly. First Patrick Surtain, who's a beast, but that's dog shit. Mike Evans is Mr. Consistency for the last decade. I gotta take respect off your name, my man. So
There you go, bro. Take respect off of those motherfuckers' names. You got 4 dudes on that list. I'm gonna start with Anthony Richardson because this one hurts. I legit have his face half carved into the GCF Mount Rushmore because of his big playability, but he's been so boom or bust in his short career. Even after that first game, I got a chubby and stuff. It was a shitty game, but he just had like some huge throws, some great
oh
runs
yeah.
and stuff.
Now he was great the
Um,
first game.
he was. He's to me, he's super young, he's super raw, super talented, but
He's a
maybe,
specimen.
what's that?
I said he's a specimen. Like he's like made in the lab. Like he's a beast. It just the fucking throwing and the turnovers is killer.
Yeah. Well, maybe, we got ahead of ourselves. Maybe I got ahead of myself. He's the second youngest starting quarterback in the NFL, only 7 games under his belt. I still think he's going to be special, but clearly it's just not his time yet. I'm still holding on to him. I want everyone to hold on to him in our leagues because there's a clear-cut path to big playabilities. But as a starter right now, it's really matchup dependent with him. It's not like top 5 status like I've been pushing earlier on. Definitely on your roster, I would obviously roster another quarterback too, and it depends on your matchup. But Sam Laporta, Laporta, like, well, first of all, Sean shit on tight ends so bad last week to the point that he was saying, let's just fucking get rid of the position altogether.
It's
He's
turned
like,
into a
it's
flex.
time. Yeah, that's basically what he said. He's like, turn it into a fucking flex. Like, get an extra receiver spot. Get rid of tight ends. They're terrible. But Laporta, like, did his best Paul Pierce impression. He got carted off the field, then returns to the game. Maybe he shit himself like Paul Pierce allegedly did too. I'm just saying allegedly. Don't get upset with me,
Oh,
Paul.
allegedly, of course.
But I'm just more upset that like my Italian cousin had to be carted off the field. They said with like I think it was like a low ankle sprain or some
Yeah, it was
shit.
the
Like
ankle. Yeah, he just
that's
wasn't.
embarrassing, dude. That's really embarrassing. Like I know ankle sprains get hurt, but it's not like it's a high ankle sprain. I sprained my ankle religiously in the backyard chasing my kids around, and you don't see me getting fucking carted off. So that shit pissed me off. Take respect off his name. Mark Andrews really pisses me off, man.
Oh,
33% snap count on Sunday versus the Cowboys. He didn't record a catch like you said. He had just 1 target, like you said. Baltimore really relied on the run game. Jackson had 12 completions. He didn't throw the ball much. They were up so big at the end that I legit didn't pay attention to the game. I was sucked into the 49ers of Rams game. And when I saw that game ended, or when that game ended, I put on the Ravens Cowboys just to check the score and I saw they came back. I was like, what the fuck? But like, the coaching staff saying, oh, the personnel that we were running was different and the packages and blah blah. you have a guy as talented as Mark Andrews, who's like a top 5 tight end every single fucking year. There's no reason why he should be running 33% of the snaps. That's fucking disgusting. So
Mm-hmm.
take respect off of Harbaugh's name right now with the passing attack. I know Derrick Henry went fucking wild. They could have put respect on his name, but take respect off the passing attack. Take respect off of Zay Flowers' name this week, who's been pretty solid the first 2 weeks. Just, I mean, I know they won and shit, and they're not 0-3, but like from a fantasy football standpoint, that's all
Oh
we really
yeah,
care about.
yeah. They've not been great. Like it's really bad. This Mark Andrews shit is ridiculous, dude. 0 catches, 0 yard, dude. Oh my god, I want to
And
throw
then
my fucking phone against the ground.
I got to see what's going on because one of our patrons said like our we sound really shitty. He said he hears like 5 seconds. It's choppy. He said it sounds like Mike McDaniel's press conference. I'm like, oh boy. So hopefully at the
Shit.
end of this wasn't for no reason and they can actually hear us. I'm not sure what the fuck is going on, but I'll have to catch the replay. Damn, he left that bad. He said that it's choppy and shit. I don't know how your service is. I think mine's pretty good. My Wi-Fi and
Mine's
shit, but.
good. I mean, my Wi-Fi, I got like all four, and then yeah. So I'm not really
Well, it is
stressed.
what it is. We'll see what happens at the end, but I'm not stressing it. And then Mike Evans, I'm not gonna get too bad. I'm not gonna get too sour on him. I'm not gonna get too sour. Horrible. I'm not gonna get too sour on the Buccaneers offense, which we're going to be talking about shortly, because
Yeah,
honestly, they've been a staple of consistency. That offense
yeah.
with Baker Mayfield, Mike
hmm
Evans, staple of consistency. And
Godwin's
you
been
know what?
really good this year so far too.
Well, you know what? Now that we're talking about it, because on our next segment, we were gonna roll into the fucking Eagles versus the Bucks, and we might as well talk about it right now. And well, while we're talking about the first thing, we'll get to the Bucks. I want to talk about the Eagles first because something's just on my mind. I've been waiting the last couple of days to talk about this, and it's Jalen fucking Hurts and the Eagles. Let's go back to the second half of last season. It went off the fucking rails offensively. We brushed on it in the offseason. Some may say injuries and the best of Hurts. It got the best of Hurts. There's a variety of reasons, but I got to tell you, Jalen Hurts to me just doesn't look right. He doesn't look like the guy that people invested. Shaw just texted me. It sounds fine to me, Matt. Matt's not sure. But I just hopped on. It sounds fine. All right, good. Good. All right, we sound good. Thank you, Sean. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Um, people invested a very fucking high pick on Jalen Hurts. There was people arguing with me about Jalen Hurts should be the number one quarterback in fantasy. Sean might have had him number one. I didn't. I had fucking Josh Allen number one, which is proven to be the right choice.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
he just doesn't look right to me. He leads the league in turnovers since last season with 26. And to me, it's not fitting for my Daniel Jones agenda when someone else is leading the league in turnovers. I need to be able to shit on strictly Daniel Jones. And we'll get to Daniel Jones in a little bit. But, without A.J. Brown, Hurts looked like a shade of himself against a very good defense. But he just looks lost. He looked lost. He looked lost throwing the ball deep down the field. The Super Bowl that we saw him in, he was making deep passes, a high scoring game against the Chiefs. It was fucking, it was incredible what he was doing. I feel
I
like
think
that's
he played better than
disappeared.
Mahomes that day. Like no joke.
Oh,
He was great.
100%. I think
Yeah.
most people would agree with that. Mahomes played his ass off, but Jalen Hurts probably played better.
Oh, on
And
another level.
only 10 of Jalen Hurts' 38 passes traveled at least 10 yards down the field. I think that's an issue with him. He completed four of them for 97 yards, and one was a pick. Jalen Hurts right now, obviously, I'm not giving up on him, but he just does not look like that quarterback from his Super Bowl year. Um, I feel like honestly, I talked about Saquon Barkley in the offseason. I said this guy is going to eat in this offense. They're finally going to have a good running back over there to take some pressure off of Hurts, and he has picked up the slack in a tremendous way. So I feel like I've hit a home run on that. Now, this is a game. How bad Jalen Hurts has been. This is a game that I feel like could be a bounce back for him, and I think fantasy owners need to hear this as a sigh of relief. Maybe they'll feel good about what's to come. The Bucks have been one of the worst against quarterbacks. They've allowed the second most rushing yards to quarterbacks, most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks. The Bucks had no pass rush, and they were letting Bo Nix let loose and do whatever he wanted to, which is kind of embarrassing. And I do like Bo Nix. But the Bucks shut down Detroit the week prior, but then lose at home to the Broncos. That's kind of ugly. Um, I don't know how you feel about that or these Eagles. How do you feel about Jalen Hurts this week? Do you think he bounces back? How do you feel about Jalen Hurts moving forward? Is there any Eagle players that you want to talk about from a fantasy standpoint? The floor is yours. Let us know, bro.
Yeah, see, Hurts, I don't know, man. I mean, he's got all the talent, but he really doesn't look the same. And you got to remember the second half of last year, like you said, like it was not good for them. So I don't know, man. I'm kind of more in the camp of like, I'm not going to believe it until I see it. But like the talent is there. But so I don't know about Hurts moving forward, but I think it'll end up balancing out and he'll be fine. But he makes me fucking nervous. And say, I want to talk about Saquon Barkley. That motherfucker, he's carrying them. Like, it's insane. Like, he was on the Giants for so long, and their offensive line sucked. He was still great, but now we're really finally getting to see like the real Saquon Barkley. Like, it's fucking wonderful to see. But dude, his stats are insane. What he's got 5 touchdowns on the year through 3 weeks. That's insane. He has 2 100-yard rushing games. The other one was 95 yards. But he's getting fucking like 20 attempts a game. He's a beast. We could talk about Saquon Barkley all day if you want, but that's what I'm most intrigued about with the Eagles and Bucks game. Like, I just want to see Saquon just go off. And then the other thing with the Eagles, I want your opinion on this too. Like, what do you think of Devontae Smith? Like, he's pretty fucking good, man. You know what I mean? I have him in one of my leagues, but he got a concussion, right? So he's questionable. I don't know if he's gonna play or not. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, so Jalen Hurts is a shade of himself, especially when AJ Brown's on the lineup. I love Devontae Smith. He's a solid wide receiver. Heck, maybe he could be a wide receiver one on certain teams and stuff, but I don't think he could be one with this quarterback. Jalen Hurts is literally nothing without AJ Brown. Now, I talked on the waiver wire column too about Eagles wide receivers, and definitely if you're hurting in that department, that's a target that you can go down because Devonta Smith might miss this game. He has concussion. There's a very good chance. And I like Devonta Smith, but I had him lower in my rankings to start the fucking off season and when we did our wide receiver rankings, just because from what I saw from Jalen Hurts last season. It's
Mhm.
almost like Joe Burrow on his Super Bowl run. He was, insane. What do you have, like 40 plus touchdowns that year? And he's been a shade of himself since. I
Yeah,
mean,
and his fucking
maybe
outfit
these
choices are a
quarterbacks
little
just,
weird too.
yeah, maybe these quarterbacks just blew their load early and they peaked, or maybe the league figured them out somewhat and they're never going to return to that level. But while we're talking about the Eagles and Bucks, I want to switch to the other side because Chris Godwin's my fucking boy,
Oh,
and
he's the
Sean
best.
would not want to hear this at all. But I put Chris Godwin ahead of Mike Evans in my rankings last week. I believe I had him as a
Wow.
a top 10 guy. I'm doing it again this week. And a huge reason why is Darius Slay, slot cornerback for the Eagles. Looks like they're going to be without him. He got hurt in the game. I think they're going to have a rookie cornerback guarding Chris Godwin. That spells trouble. Chris
Hmm.
Godwin's been a top 5 wide receiver so far in fantasy this year. I believe he's top 5 in receptions. He's up there in targets. He's always on the field. It seems like, Mike Evans is still doing his thing besides this week, but it just feels like out of that slot position, there's chemistry they're building on, Baker and him. We saw Chris Godwin banged up a lot last year, and that seems to be, an MO of Chris Godwin. But that's someone I'm targeting. That's someone I can see as a wide receiver one, a top 12 wide receiver moving forward. That's how good this connection has been. I don't know how you feel about that. I think this Eagles secondary again is overrated. I know they just shut down the fucking Saints, who have been hot, but like I said, they're beat up in the backfield, and I'm feeling good about Chris Godwin this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think Chris Godwin's going to have a good week. Probably better than Mike Evans. Mike Evans will be fine, but he just disappointed me like the last couple of weeks. But yeah, dude, Godwin, he has like 8 targets or 9 targets every week. 100-yard games, and the most important thing, a touchdown every single week. So, I mean, he's hot right now. So, yeah, I like Chris Godwin this week. I think that's a good move. I
I
think.
like Baker rebound. I have him.
Mhm.
I have him in my top 12 rankings towards the end. I have the Buccaneers bouncing back. after an embarrassing loss, after looking good the first 2 games, an embarrassing loss to the Broncos. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I feel about them. So next up, Nick, we're going to move on to the Dolphins. This is something that everyone's talking about in fantasy, and I hate to talk about what everyone else is talking about, but it's fucking super important. And that's the Dolphins quarterback situation and the Dolphins playmakers. Dude, they're in fucking trouble. Dolphins moving forward without Tua. It's going to be for some time. They're in trouble, dude. And it's not just from the quarterback position. Let's start with the offensive line. They were horrendous. Doesn't matter who's starting back there. They allowed 6 sacks. They allowed 12 quarterback hits. They allowed Skylar Thompson, who sucks and quite frankly is a piece of shit, even though I don't know him personally. If you're wearing a Dolphin jersey, to me, you're a piece of shit. But they allowed him to get beat up. He got taken out of the game. Tim, your boy Boyle,
Ugh.
comes in, and the rest is history. So behind in this offensive line, I feel like no matter who the quarterback is, it could be Tyler Huntley, Mike McDaniel is the most overrated coach in the NFL. I was getting slaughtered on Twitter for saying that the other day. Um, Mike McDaniels hasn't really said who the starting quarterback's going to be because he wants to see what happens with Skylar Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
But they're throwing out a couple different names. We don't know what's going to happen. But we're here for fantasy. We're not really here to talk about Tim Boyle. We're here to talk about the guys that these quarterbacks are going to be throwing to. And in regards to the playmakers on the team, Nick, I want to hear your feelings after what I have to say. All of them are in trouble week 4 and beyond. Week 4 brings on the Titans, which sounds great, but when you look at the numbers, the Titans have allowed the 4th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. They added L'Jarius Sneed. They added Nick's boy, Jamal Adams, who it probably doesn't make a difference, but I just want to say Jamal Adams to get you upset. They made some offseason adjustments, and maybe it has to do with them getting blown out the Titans a few times and less passing. But I'm telling you right now, Nick, and I'm telling the world this, I benched Jalen Waddle against Nick for Jawan Jennings. It was the best thing I could have done. And as long as Tua's out, Waddle is a bench option to me. He's on my bench. I don't care who they're facing any week. I do not feel comfortable with any of 3 of those quarterbacks that I mentioned before. He's 100% a bench option week 4. You have to sit him. It's legit panic mode. Week 3 ended, week 4 starting. We're in fucking panic mode. It's fucking crisis time. Every time Tua misses time, Nick, I looked at the stats. Waddle suffers the most. Waddle suffers tremendously. I'll let you talk on Waddle in a minute if you want, but I got to talk about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill taking a shot week 4. I'm taking a shot on him week 4 moving forward. He's a playmaker. And quite frankly, I don't care who the quarterback is. They have to do a better job of getting him the ball, getting the ball in his hands, getting him more involved. I do not have him as a wide receiver 1 this week or moving forward because of the quarterback situation. I have him as a starter, but there's going to be a lot of players that like say Malik Neighbors and a lot of these other guys that you wouldn't think would be in front of Tyreek Hill. They're going to be in front of Tyreek Hill in fantasy rankings for me. It's that fucking bad, folks. The boxes are going to be stuffed. I think Achan takes a hit in that situation too. It's crisis mode in Miami. It's crisis mode for fantasy options. To me, Nick, I don't know if Tua's coming back. He missed a ton of time last time when he had the concussion. He, quite frankly, like we're talking possibly career with him. I don't want to upset anybody. Mike McDaniel's told me to he had like a his period when people were talking about retirement with Tua. Like, calm the fuck down, dude. Like, he looks like he's throwing up gang signs again because of concussion. It's only right that people talk about fucking retirement. I mean, quite frankly, I think he should. His brain is so rattled, but to me, there's a chance that Tua could miss the whole season. And if that's the case, I might be trying to trade out right now. Trade Tyreek Hill, see what I can get for him, see what his value is. 100% trade Jalen Waddle because there's a lot of unknown with that situation. I'm in fucking panic mode the rest of the season for the Dolphins pass catchers. I'm in fucking panic mode against the Titans in week 4. The fucking Titans, Nick. Am I crazy? Am I going off the deep end? How do you feel about the Dolphins pass catchers or any Dolphins players? Because we're talking about Tyreek Hill, a first-round pick. We're talking about Jalen Waddle, Achan. These guys were drafted in the first 3, 4 rounds. Talk to me. Talk me off the ledge. Am I going crazy or should we be
No,
fucking panicking, dude?
you should be borderline panicking. I agree with most of what you said. First of all, I don't think Mike McDaniel is the most overrated coach of the league, but that's
No,
fine.
that's a little excessive,
It's
but fuck
okay.
it.
But it's fine because I hate the Dolphins. I have connections to South Florida. You know what I mean? So I like talking shit with them. But I don't think Tua's gonna retire, dude. He has so much money on the line, but I think he's gonna try his best to come back. But maybe not this year. But he will be back because he has $200 million waiting for him. But when he's in the lineup, all these fucking Dolphins cook. So that's the problem right now. They should have kept my boy Mike White, but that's another story. But the thing I agree with you the most about is Waddle. Dude, he's going to be unplayable, bro. So without Tua, he's nothing. Like he gets no numbers. Tyreek Hill, I agree with you again. He's so good that he might not be wide receiver one, but I mean, you could probably throw him in your flex or wide receiver two. He's that good. He'll still get volume. Like I think Mike McDaniel's okay. I think he's gonna get Tyreek Hill the ball somehow. You know what I mean? But I don't think he's gonna be putting up those insane fucking video game numbers like he did last year. But I would be panicking if I'm an owner of Dolphins players or a Dolphins fan. My question to you is, what do you think of Achan moving forward? Because like he's a fucking beast, man. Like he was catching the ball at the backfield, running. Like, what do you think his like ceiling is moving forward? I'm very curious.
So Matt just said in HN we trust, one of our GOAT
Yeah.
patrons. Fucking love
Yep.
Matt.
I'm
And you know
thinking
what,
that
Matt?
too, kinda,
I
man.
think I think it's good news. I did say they're gonna stack the box. I think defenses are going to play press coverage. They're going to get really tight on the line of scrimmage. There's going to be a lot of blitzing. Regardless, I think this speaks to more volume for Achan. It speaks to more volume for the Dolphin running backs. I think that we're going to see a lot more passing opportunities for Achan, which is a good thing. Volume's a great thing. The only issue is when when defenses are dialed into that part of a game situation, it could take an effect on their overall success rate. So that's how I'm kind of feeling. I still like Achan. I had him ranked pretty high in my rankings earlier on, and he takes a little hit for me, but not as big, obviously, as the pass catchers.
Hmm.
Um, Nick, Tua, obviously on the IR, not coming back till the
At least
earliest
4 weeks.
week 8,
Yeah.
which
Hmm.
it's going to be well past that. They're talking
Yeah.
about Huntley, and people are saying this might be the best option for the Dolphins. I'm going to end on this real quick. From an NFL standpoint, from a fantasy standpoint, buckle the fuck up. Huntley averaging an astounding 98 passing yards per game in his career. We need to discuss, and you need to discuss in your leagues, trading Jalen Waddle, trading Tyreek Hill. The Dolphins fucked up in this offseason, not reassuring that offensive line. They're too busy signing big name guys that suck now, like Odell Beckham Jr., and worrying about the wrong things. Comment on this. Let us know if you're listening to this on Spotify or on the replay in the morning when you're listening to it. Comment on us. Let me know and Nick know how you feel on the Dolphins moving forward. And as well, like I said, we're doing things different on this podcast. We're switching it up. We're not doing the start sits. We're focusing more on options from Pete Alonso to the Warning Track flies out. We're focusing more on the option, like matchups and players in those matchups, doing things different. Let us know how you feel about that. So we covered the Eagles, we covered the Buccaneers. Um,
Dolphins.
we covered the Dolphins. I'm just pissed right now because I just realized something I really wanted to cover. Oh my god, we have to backtrack really quick. We'll take 1 minute on it.
Go
Bucky
ahead.
Irvin and Rashad White.
Right.
Bucky Irvin needs to be a top priority on your waiver wire. He's not on the field as much as Rashad White, but his success rate, his rushing yards per carry are so much better. Rashad White, it looks like, I think in the future he's going to be taking over as like the pass catching specialist, while Bucky Irvin looks like he's more smoother on the ground, more efficient through the tackles. You want to comment on that real quick?
Yeah, no, actually I agree with you. I think he's just a better runner. Rashad White, I don't know. I wasn't really feeling him in the draft. I don't know. I think he was ranked a little high, but what the hell do I know? But I think moving forward, you might see a little bit more Bucky Irving. So I
Yeah,
definitely
so
agree.
I promised people I would touch on that. White still has value to me as a pass catcher. but Bucky Irvin just flat out more efficient runner. He had 9 rushes to White 6, and he outrushed him by 53 yards. Third straight week that he's had more rushing yards. He's one of my top waiver wire priorities. So boom, that's done. Next, we're going with Bills Ravens, and I'm super, super intrigued about this matchup. Since that slow start for Buffalo in Arizona, the Arizona game, they've made a huge comeback in that game, and they've been firing on all cylinders. The Ravens, Nick, have allowed the third most fantasy points to quarterbacks this season, and one of those quarterbacks was Gardner fucking Minshew. Vomit in my mouth.
That
Disgusting.
was crazy. That was
Disgusting.
crazy
Yeah.
tune.
So, this doesn't pair well, obviously, when you face Josh Allen, but two guys that I'm zoning in on in this game are Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. Two guys I was huge on in the offseason. Two guys who have had slow starts, but they had better week threes. Shakir, 6 catches, 72 yards and a touchdown is in this blowout against the Jaguars. The Jaguars fucking suck. Trevor Lawrence
They're
fucking
terrible.
sucks. Dalton Kincaid, not great, but trending in the right direction. He's still making me look like an asshole because I said he was going to be the top tight end this year, but whatever. We're still got time to try to make me not look like such as big of an asshole. 3 catches, 41 yards, a touchdown. The ball's been spreading out too much by Josh Allen. So I need these guys to start getting more targets. But Shakir, he's led the team 2 weeks in a row, making my pick for Shakir as Allen's favorite wide receiver. We talked about Curtis Samuel having value. We talked about Keon Coleman having value, who looked pretty good. We talked about Khalil Shakir having value all before the offseason. Shakir was my pick. I liked him out of the slot. He's starting to look really well. I'm really surprised, Nick. He's still, I think, owned in less than half of leagues in ESPN and some of the other leagues, which is really surprising.
Really? Yeah,
You
it's
have to go
shocking.
out there and pick him up. I know it's been a slow start, but in this Bills Ravens matchup, from a Bills fantasy standpoint, I'm keeping an eye on those two guys. I think they're going to bring something big to the table against the Ravens, especially since the Ravens have had a hard time against quarterbacks in fantasy so far, which is pretty fucking surprising. So, what do you think about Buffalo in this matchup? Because I'm very interested in this game, and I think a lot of people have different opinions on if it's going to be high scoring, low scoring, blowout one side, lopsided another.
Yeah, this is my favorite game of the week, honestly. Like Lamar versus Josh, Bills Ravens. It's gonna be sick. Josh Allen is playing like a fucking beast. So I think he's gonna go off. And I mean, James Cook, he had like 5 targets last week. So I don't know. They might get him the ball a little bit. He's got 4 touchdowns on the year. I like James Cook. I don't know. I feel like he's gonna kind of have like a sneaky good game. That's the first guy I'm thinking of besides Josh Allen. But I'm really shocked. Shakir, he's not owned in as many leagues. He's owned in all my leagues. Like everyone's got him. So that's a dude you got to pick up if he's out there. But yeah, the Bills' offense, it's crazy. They just spread it around. Now that there's no Diggs, it's like addition by subtraction. You know what I mean? They scare me. I hate to say it, but yeah, man. No, I think they're gonna be fucking awesome. And yeah, I'm looking for James Cook definitely to have a big game. I just have a feeling about him.
I like it, and he's been awesome. And I talked about him. I'm not sure if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. How I think James Cook needs to be start. We need to start talking about James Cook as one of those top tier running backs because he
Yes.
gets it done through the air. He gets it done on the ground. He's had a nose for the end zone, something that Bills running backs have had trouble with because of Josh Allen's success in running in goal line and red zone situations. But something else that I'm looking at in this game is the Bills, who have been one of the best at run stopping. Their run stopping defense has been fucking amazing, and their numbers reflect it. Maybe it's because teams have abandoned the run against them because they've been blowing out teams. But with that said, do not forget for a second that Derrick Henry's one of the fucking GOAT running backs in fantasy of all time. He stiff armed that motherfucker straight to hell on the Cowboys, like looking like prime Derrick Henry. I can't wait to see this Bills run defense, who I always talk shit about against Derrick Henry. I don't want people being scared about that when you see some of these numbers with the Bills' run defense. Derrick Henry, I'm still very confident in. I think, in my eyes, to me, maybe this is what I want, but this is how I feel. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I think there's going to be a lot of passing involved. I think Buffalo's going to have the lead. I think Lamar Jackson finally is going to have to open up and spread the ball around more, through the air. But I still think Derrick Henry is going to have success on the ground. I think that the Ravens live and die by the run. And even if they're trailing the Ravens, I think they're going to throw the ball, but I think they're still going to live and die by running the ball. So, um, the only guy I really want that I'm nervous about in this game is Mark Andrews because I don't know what the fuck Harbaugh's thinking. Like I talked about earlier when you took respect off Mark Andrews' name, 33% snap count. It's been down every week. I think it was 70, low 70% week one, in the 60s week two, down to 33% week three. Mark Andrews just seems like an afterthought in the game plan. I'm avoiding him at all costs moving forward. Nick, we're almost getting to the point, and I know it's early, and I don't like to panic early. We're almost getting to the point that if we see this going on for another week or two, Mark Andrews might be droppable.
I hate to agree with you, but
I
yeah,
hate it's
man, it's
crazy to
bad.
say, but the consistency of him being inconsistent and not being on the field, he might be droppable soon.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like I said, 0 catches, 0 yards. That'll do it. You know what I mean? And likely looked good the first week, but like Andrews, dude, his snap count is just going down and down and down. Like at a certain point, like you know what I mean? What's the point of fucking having him? But we'll see for like another week or two. But I think it's heading in that direction. But from the Ravens standpoint, though, like the Bills' run defense is great, but it's Derrick Henry. Like I still think he's Derrick Henry. Like he put up like 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's got a touchdown in every game, I believe, this year. So, yeah, he's got a rushing touchdown every game that he's played. All 3 games. I think he has 4. So he's a fucking beast. I think the Bills are going to win, but I think it's going to be like a high scoring game. I think it's going to be a really good fantasy game for everyone. But I'm definitely looking at the running backs. I don't know why. I just feel like James Cook's going to do his thing, and I think Derrick
Yeah,
Henry's
that's
going to do his
interesting.
thing.
I'm glad you said that about James Cook. To me, I'm looking at Zay Flowers because a lot of people are upset by him this past week. 3 catches, 20 yards. Like I said, Baltimore had a big lead. They emphasized the run early on. I don't think they're going to have that luxury this week. The Ravens, they lost their first 2 weeks. And his numbers, he had over 10 targets in each of the first 2 games. I think the people who were pissed off at Zay Flowers, who quite frankly could have been on the take respect off their name column,
Mm-hmm.
this week, I think Zay Flowers is going to have a bounce back week. I have Zay Flowers going in my top 15 this week. So anyone who has Zay Flowers who's pissed off from what they saw, I think you're going to be happy with the results. You can pass on the Bills somewhat. So I'm feeling good about that. And Nick, we're gonna kick this off. I think we're gonna finish off with the 2 teams that are in our market that we see a lot, and that's the Jets and the Giants. And I want to talk about them because they're both coming off of huge wins. Both of the offenses grooved. Obviously, the Giants were more surprising, but both of the offenses were great, and especially from a fantasy standpoint. And you and I saw it firsthand because you and I were fucking wasted at the Jets game,
Jet
screaming
life.
our asses off. I tried taking a bunch of videos and like posting them on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I was like borderline blackout going into the stadium trying to Twitter space like camera live. And Sean's texting me like telling me I look like an idiot. I sound like an idiot, but I felt like on top of the world. But anyway, so we're gonna end on that. We're gonna talk about the Jets, Giants, and those matchups in Week 4 and moving forward. And let me touch on the Giants real quick, and then I'll let you take the floor. First off, I was so wrong on Neighbors. It's not even funny. Like I never questioned his skill set. It's the skill set around him. He's that fucking good where he can have, I don't know, say Daniel fucking Jones as his quarterback and be a wide receiver 1. I didn't think that was fucking possible, but here we are. And this was a concern I had with like Marvin Harrison Jr. being a borderline wide receiver one because of his quarterback and being a rookie. And this question like never even crossed my mind with Neighbors before the season. Nick, I think we're at a point or getting to a point where Neighbors is matchup proof. You start him every single fucking week. I don't care if he's facing the best corners in the league. It's already fucking proven. The Giants feed him. They feed fucking him. They realize that this guy's one of the most talented prospects, one of the most talented wide receivers already in the league. You feed your fucking beast. I talked about that last week. The Browns are one of the best defenses in the league. Last season, they gave up the fourth fewest fantasy points per game to wide receivers. And to me, they really have the same defense. And Neighbors fucking went off again. Giants are taking on Dallas, who just keeps giving up so many fucking points. They've allowed the third most points overall in the league. Their defense looks like a joke. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there. So I feel like Neighbors is going to eat again. It's going to be no problem. I think the Giants are going to make this a really fucking close game. They might actually pull that off. But we'll talk about the gambling when I think Sean does his special gambling pod before the game for the Patreons. You got to be a subscriber for that.
Oh, it's gonna be fucking sick
I
because I
think
love gambling. Sorry.
no, it's all good. I think Singletary, who's been super reliable, has a big game as well. Dallas is allowing the most fantasy points per game to running backs. They've allowed the most rushing touchdowns to running backs. But after this game, um, you know what? I don't even want to talk about that yet. I'll wait for my trade Singletary for after this game if he goes off again. I'm getting to that point. I'm gonna save
Right.
that for next week. I'm just letting you know. You start Malik Neighbors 100%. You're an idiot if you even give that a fucking thought. And you 100% start Devin Singletary, who's been on fire. To me, he's a high end running back too this week. I don't have my rankings out yet, but I think I'm going to have him around like 14th or 15th, higher than what the consensus is right now because he's been on a fucking roll. Other than that, Daniel Jones, absolutely fucking not. I don't have any faith in Daniel Jones repeating what he did this past week. That's just not Daniel Jones like. All these people are coming out and say, "Oh, Daniel Jones, we got to give him respect after all the shit." No, he's deserved all the disrespect for the last fucking 5 years. But fantasy standpoint, Malik Neighbors 100% start. Devin Singletary 100% start. This Dallas Cowboys defense is struggling.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. The thing with Neighbors, like I was big on Neighbors coming out of college. I would have fucking drafted him if I was any fucking team that didn't need a quarterback. He's such a beast. I knew he was going to be this good. I was big on LSU, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors. Love the both of them. Yeah, dude, Neighbors, you're starting him. Like, there's no fucking question. Like, there's no. If you're not gonna start him, trade him to me, okay? Because he's a fucking monster. They're gonna feed him. Daniel Jones, it doesn't matter. Like, I think he's just gonna be able to get this kid the ball. You know what I mean? Even though Daniel Jones is not that good, Neighbors gonna go off. I love him. He's a fucking man. Um, what else? Yeah, that's gonna be a good game. I think Dallas. I don't know. They're shaky, but the thing is, they own the Giants, so I think it's gonna be a good game. Prescott, he got a lot of fucking fantasy points last week.
Well, they were
In the
getting their
second
ass
half.
beat, and he came back and he was whipping the ball around, and he did pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. I don't know how I feel about him this week. I have him on the low side of a quarterback one, because I think
Yeah,
the Giants'
the
sneaky
Giants had 8
defense.
sacks last game, 7 or 8 sacks. So
The issue with
they might be on a
Dallas
roll.
too. The issue with Dallas too is their running situation is fucking god awful,
Oh,
and
it's the worst.
you don't have to worry about them when you're a defense. You don't have to game plan much for that.
Giants secondary is a little shaky though.
No, that's fair. That's a fair statement.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a great game, I think.
And then we got to talk about the Jets real quick. I'm gonna bring up 2 points. The first one I have to talk about because Sean told me I have to emphasize this too.
I hope it's what I think it is.
It's about people who are panicking about Brees Hall.
Oh yeah, well that's what I was thinking of
Are
Brees Hall. Go ahead.
are we really going to panic about Brees Hall?
It's ridiculous
Like
if you are.
Braylon Allen was a steal pick by Nick's favorite Jets GM of all time, but that doesn't dismiss that Brees Hall is one of the shiftiest and elusive runners in the game. What Brees Hall does different than other backs is he's like a dual threat running back. He's elite. He does it through the air. he doesn't on the ground. Some defenses are better stopping the run in between tackles, while others are better at stopping from the outside. Um, Week 4, we host the Broncos, who played a great game but allowed Bucky Irvin to open up big on the outside for nine carries over 70 yards. Nick, this is a Breece Hall week. Broncos have allowed 10th most rushing yards. They have been stingy against running backs in the red zones, but they have played shittier running offenses, in my opinion. This is a Breece Hall week. Breece Hall is my number one running back. There's my vote of confidence. Calm the fuck down, people. Um, Braylon Allen is a fucking stud. But people are freaking out because of his workload, all of his carries. Listen, the game script got thrown out the window when the Jets started blowing the Patriots out. There's no reason to have fucking Breece Hall out there when the Jets are up by 21 plus points in the fourth quarter. So pump the brakes. Braylon Allen's gonna get his workload. He definitely is a guy that should be targeted on your waivers. But this is we talked about Breece Hall. Sean talked about Breece Hall as the number one running back for a reason in fantasy. He's that fucking good. We still have that much faith on him. This is going to be a Breece Hall week. And real quick, one more thing I want to touch on the Jets, and this will be a little quicker, and then the floor is yours. You go to town on the Jets, Nick. And it's Garrett Wilson, and I see Garrett Wilson going in the top 10 this week in fantasy, and I'm in the minority of that. Granted, I love Garrett Wilson. I think that he is a buy low option because his numbers haven't been what people thought they were going to be yet. I think we're going to get there, but this isn't the week against Patrick Surtain, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, who's probably going to be lined up against Garrett Wilson a lot. I think Garrett Wilson's going to have some catches, have some yards, maybe squeaks in a touchdown. I don't know, but it's not going to be anything crazy in my eyes. You still start him, but beware his numbers aren't going to be off the fucking tracks. So temper your expectations with Garrett Wilson this week. I wouldn't throw any prop bets on him on overs for anything, but Garrett Wilson is a buy low option. How do you feel about these Jets players in fantasy week 4 against the Denver Broncos, who are coming off a major fucking win?
I feel really good about Breece Hall. Like, he's such a fucking beast. He legit has wide receiver skills. He hasn't got 100 yards rushing yet, but his receiving numbers are pretty fucking sick. What did he get? He's got a receiving touchdown. He had 8 targets against Tennessee, 5 against New England. They're gonna find him the ball. I'm not worried about Breece Hall. People that are panicking about him, they gotta relax. And historically, he's played Denver like every year he's been in the league, and he always does pretty good against them. I'm not panicking about Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson, he's my favorite player on the Jets, but I don't think he's gonna have a great week this week. Like, at least from a volume standpoint, maybe he gets a touchdown because fucking Aaron will find him. But I mean, like last week. But I don't know if he's gonna have the greatest week this week against Denver because Surtain, he's been shutting down like Evans and Metcalf. The guy's a monster. But I think eventually it'll even out, and Garrett Wilson will end up being top 10, top 15 wide receiver in the fucking league, like from a fantasy perspective. So I'm not sure about Garrett this week, but I'm definitely big on Breece Hall this week, 100%. He's probably going to be the fucking player of the week. So I'm not biased.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's fair, man. We've been
Yeah.
waiting for it. I think this is the week it happens. Um, I'm really excited to see, how the Jets' offense is utilized this week. If Aaron Rodgers tries to go at Patrick Surtain, maybe we see Alan Lazard, who is still a waiver wire target of mine. There's chemistry between them. He might be a
Touchdown
sneaky.
king right there.
Yeah, I mean, 3 touchdowns, I believe, this season.
Mm-hmm.
Denver is a team that you can throw the ball against outside of Patrick Surtain, in my opinion. Um, maybe this is the week that Mike Williams' workload steps up because it took a step back after week 2. And you know what? That's something to think about too. Is the Jets played what fucking 3 games in 10 days. It's a
Yeah.
long season. They're coming off. They're going to get 10 days rest now or whatever it is after playing Thursday night.
Yep. 10 days. Yep.
Um, so I'm interested to see Aaron Rodgers if he can come back to fantasy relevance and be not quite MVP status, but to see if he can get close to those levels or just keep coming out with these performances like he had against New England with no turnovers and touchdowns and just moving the ball a lot. I think we touched on everything. I just want to throw in here real quick because I want to shit on Sean. Caleb Williams in 3 games so far, 0 touchdowns, passing 4 interceptions, 11 sacks.
I told
Fucking
him
told
Jaden Daniels would be
everybody.
better. So
I told him that too. I said it. I had Jaden Diaz as like my 7th or 8th quarterback in the show, our quarterback ranking show earlier on in the season. He had like Caleb Williams in like the top 12. I'm like, are you smoking crack, dude? That
fight
Bears
on, baby.
offensive line is terrible. They have all these great pass catchers. You could fucking put Marvin Harrison. You could put fucking Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, all these guys on it. He's not gonna have time to throw the ball. He's a rookie quarterback. Fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I have to say on that. Like I said, guys, this is a new format that we wanted to try out. We wanted to touch on matchups that we thought were fantasy relevant. We wanted to touch on players that we thought were fantasy relevant. Let us know how you felt about that. Sean and I are always open to opinions and criticism, and we want to hear from you because you are the guys, you are the people that keep us going. You are the guys that keep us afloat. As always, GCF Patreon. That's what's going to help you win your league. Sign up now. Subscribe with us. Direct access, 24/7 line of communication with rapid responses. We've helped dozens of Patreons who are subscribed, paid subscribers to us, win thousands of dollars overall. That's no bullshit. They will back us up on that. Nick, I want to say thank you. You did a good job, not a great job, a good job. You were mediocre, like you've been your whole life. Good, I got a little laugh at you there. No, seriously, thank you so much, man. I had fun with you. I can't wait for Sean to go back and listen to this and shit on us and tell us how terrible of a job we did without him. So, any last words? Anything you'd like to say before we
Yeah,
hang up?
yeah. I mean, I did an okay job. The start was brutal, but I feel like I finished
The
strong.
start
But
was brutal, bro. Nick literally texted me.
historically brutal.
Nick texted me in panic mode and was like, "Dude, go solo. I'm not coming on." He was like, "I'm like, yo, it's okay. We're gonna figure this out together." But
Yeah,
this
no, my
is
phone was bugging. I'm sorry, but I
nah,
really
fuck.
appreciate you letting me on. It was awesome. Yeah, man. Grand Central Fantasy, love you guys. You and Sean are the best, and I appreciate it, man. It was awesome.
GCF contributor Nick. I think he will be starting a New York Knicks podcast soon, where he'll get really drunk and just scream and tell everybody how LeBron sucks and Jalen Brunson's like his god. So,
Sounds about right.
yeah. So on that note, we love you guys. Peace out. And let's win some fucking fantasy matchups again. Hit us up. Peace.
Peace.